Dear students, I am Dr. Deepthi Sadana. Let's start biology classes from chapter 1 from the motivational lines I like the most. Work hard in silence, let success make the noise. This is one of the part of chapter 1, the living world. I have not included the whole chapter in these slides. These slides include NCERT books. Glossaries are being shared to you from the NCERT book to make the study easier and more understanding. Inanimate matter, as the word itself indicates, it is the non-living matter such as wind, air, sea, etc. Anthropocentrism, worldview. These are two types of worldviews: anthropocentrism and biocentric worldview. First one indicates that humans are the most important factor, and the second one, biocentric, takes the human as the particular species of animals and not more than that. Systematic and monumental description. This is the detailed system of identification, nomenclature and classification. Ernest Mayr. He was awarded as the 3 prize, widely regarded as the Triple Crown of Biology, and he is also considered as the Darwin of the 20th century. Now students, Earth serves as a home for diverse living organisms. We all know the organisms live in various habitats like forests, mountains, deserts, oceans, almost every place of the earth. Living things possess certain characteristics which are shown in the flow chart. Characteristics of living organisms like growth, respond to environmental stimuli, reproduction, capable to metabolize, means the biochemical reactions which occur inside the body. Now I have described each of the characteristics. Major characteristics may first is growth. Growth means increase in mass and increase in number of individual cells. Now the growth occurs differently, like in multicellular organisms. Particularly the growth occurs by cell division, or we can say the increase in number of cells. The growth in plants occurs throughout the life, but in animals it is up to a certain age. Also, some body parts like the nails, hair and replacement of the lost cells occurs throughout the life in animals too. In unicellular organisms, the growth can be observed by counting the number of cells, and of course in the non-living things also, like mountains, sand dunes, the growth occurs. How? It is by accumulating the material on their external surface. Second characteristic is reproduction. Reproduction is the process of producing offsprings in multicellular organisms as well as in the unicellular organisms. Some of the examples are shown here, like fungi spread and multiply fast by producing millions of asexual spores, but some do reproduction by the process of fragmentation. For example, algae and protonymorph mosses. The budding occurs in the organisms like yeast and hydra. These types of examples one should know, because 1 marks questions or match the following, such type of questions generally come from this portion. Now the unicellular organisms like bacteria, algae and amoeba reproduce by increasing the number of cells, that is through cell division. Some exceptions are always there. Some organisms like mules, sterile worker bees, infertile human couples, etc. do not reproduce. Hence, the reproduction also cannot be an all inclusive defining characteristic of living organism. Third is metabolism. Metabolism can be considered as defining feature of all the living organisms without any exception. It is characteristic and defining feature for all the living things. It is the sum total of anabolic and catabolic, destructive and constructive reactions occurring inside the body. It occurs in all the unicellular and multicellular organism. The example of anabolism is photosynthesis. In this process, the building up of synthesis of complex substances from the simpler ones takes place, while in catabolism, the process of breakdown of complex substances into simpler substances. The example is respiration. Viruses are considered as non-living because they don't need energy for their activities. That is, metabolic activities are altogether absent in them. Here are some of the important differences between anabolism and catabolism. As we know, anabolism is the sum total of constructive processes and catabolism is the sum total of destructive processes. Complex substances are formed from the simpler ones in anabolism and simpler substances are formed from complex ones in catabolism. Energy is stored in anabolism and it is released in catabolism. Anabolism is required for growth and maintenance, and the catabolism is required for performance of activities. Examples can also be added. Now comes the cellular organization. The cells are the building blocks of all living things, whether the plants, animals, or humans. The unicellular organisms are made up of a single cell, while the multicellular organisms are formed by the millions of cells. The cell contains the cell organelles, the protoplasm, which perform the several activities at the cellular level and results into the various life processes. Consciousness can also be said to a defining property of living organism like the metabolism. All the living organisms have excellent ability to sense their environment. They respond to various physical, chemical and biological stimuli. The various external factors to which living organisms respond are light, water, temperature, pollutants, and also to the other organisms. Now we can see light duration or photoperiod affect many seasonal breeders, plants as well as animals. All the living things respond to chemicals entering their bodies. Of course, the humans are superior to all the living things as they have an additional ability to self-consciousness. Patients lying in coma supported by machines that replace the hearts and lungs are brain dead with no self-consciousness. So, in human beings, it is more difficult to define the living state. Here comes the slide of the body organization. The diagram shows clearly about the organization in living organisms. Like from protons, neutrons or electrons, it becomes atoms, then compounds, then it becomes cells. Means from the non-living stage we are entering into the living now. From cells to tissues, then more complex organs, organ system, and then into the organism. Now here comes the two terms, the physical and biological hierarchies. What are they? Physical hierarchy is the various non-living components aggregate to form compounds, which finally enter the living world in the form of cells. These cells then organize to form the tissues and further into the organs and organ system as explained earlier. Many organ systems organize and form a living organism. Now, the properties of tissues are not present in the constituent cells but arise as a result of interactions among the constituent cells. Example is Bone is a hard tissue which provides the framework to the body, but the cells present inside it do not have the property. This phenomenon of interaction between the various components of the body result in the hierarchy of organization. Now, as we all know, DNA is responsible for the expression of specific traits in the organism, and the whole story lies here. The various life processes are the result of this interaction and coordination. The complexity in organization enables the living organisms as to be self-replicating, evolving, self-regulating, and responding to external stimuli. All the living organisms with their ancestors and descendants are linked to one another by sharing of common genetic material in the form of DNA in varying degrees. Biology is the story of life on earth. It is the story of evolution of living organisms on the earth. So students, this was just the half part of chapter 1, and I'll share one more video completing the next part soon. Thank you so much.